Breaking Brown family, what's going on? It's Yvette Carnell coming to you again as I do every Monday and Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got a couple things to talk about tonight that I'm going to press through. So what I want to do, as always, please get your libations. Some people say I depress them, so get your libations so you won't be depressed. I know you had a hard day at work at a job you might not want to be in, but that's all right. Ain't nothing wrong with jobs. We just need better jobs. Ain't nothing wrong with working somewhere. Ain't nothing wrong with being nowhere like that. We just need to have more of that. That's all right. But we got some stuff to talk about today. I'm going to try to hit 3 things fairly quickly in one episode, so I need everybody to kind of stay with me. And as always, if you don't subscribe to the newsletter, you can go to breakingbrown.com and subscribe to the newsletter. It's $2 a month. You can go and make a donation of whatever you want to make. You can make a cyclical donation, 3, 5, 10, 15, 25, whatever, 50, whatever a month. If you want to make a donation every month, you can do that. You can also make a one-time donation there. You can also go to donatebrown.com and donate if you want to make a donation. You can go to subscribetobrown.com as well and subscribe to the general mailing list. If I'm out or something, or if Irony's going to be substituting, you have to go to the Funky Academic and get your Black Politics. Then that will be in the newsletter as well. I just collect the newsletter and have everybody. Okay, so that's what and always, as always, please click. If you have not already, please click the notifications button for me so that you'll get notified when I come online, because sometimes you might not know. I might have changed the date. I had to travel somewhere or go somewhere, have something to take care of. Please hit that button so you'll know when I'm online. If you're here and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and help us out. So do that for us. And I'm just trying to let a few people fill in. Some people have to get their libations, They have to go to the freezer. That's where you put stuff at sometimes when you have your libations. You got to get some ice. Even if you are sober, you need some ice for whatever you're drinking on. Some people like hot tea. You need to go get your honey. I'm trying to give you time to do all of that, or put the baby down and do whatever you got to do before we get started into this black politics conversation. Because once I get started today, I'm not coming up for air. So do whatever you do right now while I'm doing the intro. And I want to start, in terms of the intro, I want to start talking about what we missed last week or this week when we were talking about R. Kelly, and what we missed last week when we were talking about Umar Johnson. Umar Johnson has a PhD, by the way.
I knew that.
There was an article, there was a writer at the Root who said he didn't have a PhD, and he had to come back and say, well, I found it at the clearinghouse, something. And so he got it.
He's gotten so much heat. Why would he lie? Like, it would just be sloppy to lie.
Well, people have said he don't attack people for stuff unless you know it's true.
Yeah, it would be too sloppy to lie, and I don't think he's a sloppy guy. He has theories I don't agree with, but
lots of them.
Yeah, but yeah.
I mean, so that's what it is. So I just want to put that out there so we all know.
Umar
he
Johnson,
is a doctor, and you can disagree
Umar
with him, and as I do on a lot of issues, but you put that before his name, yes. Apparently. So that's what we know. The Root, you kind of messed up, so it is what it is, and you tried to explain it away, but okay.
And the question is, why did they feel so? Why did they go there? A lot of people have been saying
stuff. We rumor driven. We're not research driven. We don't even have, but like the Root has a real research department. He was like, I looked into this. Oh, whatever. So, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, let's get into the issue. The first issue I really want to get into is the implosion of Trumpcare. We have not talked a lot about Trumpcare and the proposals of Trumpcare I remember the one from the House and the one from the Senate. We have not had a good discussion about Trumpcare and the implosion of Trumpcare and what it would have meant and why we should have paid more attention. It's funny how if R. Kelly comes out with some girls that he's allegedly keeping as a cult or something, everybody goes crazy. Black Twitter goes wild. But why we didn't go wild over Trumpcare? That's why people don't take us seriously, because we don't pay attention to serious things and serious issues. Now, I think the R. Kelly issue is serious, but not serious enough for us to ignore what happened and what was happening. That thing could have almost been passed. Had it not been for the 2 Republican U.S. senators who pushed it over the edge, we could be looking at Trumpcare. That's a big deal. And it's a big deal that the people who write for these black news magazines didn't do a good job or didn't do much of any job of covering it except to say, well, Trump is bad. It's about what's in the bill. Like, let's go to clip one. This is what happened. Now they're trying to say that they're gonna come back. We're gonna come back, and we're gonna do a repeal. But the problem is, America doesn't approve of a whole repeal of Obamacare. I know I don't. I'm on Obamacare.
Yeah, and you don't like it, but
I want single payer. And I know a lot of black people, most black people are the only group that really aren't benefiting from Obamacare, because you got to pay the premium, and we can't really pay the premiums a lot of the time. Yeah. So we just chance it. You either on Medicaid or you chance it.
Plus, honestly, I don't like the instability in my life. You got a letter that kicked you off, and then you had to go back on.
Yeah, I was with Aetna, and Aetna said that we ain't doing this bullshit no more. We're not doing this no more. Aetna said we're not doing this no more. So we don't know what you gonna do, but you got about 60 days to find yourself somewhere else to take care of yourself, because we ain't making enough money. And that's what happens. That's what happens when corporations run everything. Somebody can say, "Oh, we're not making enough money. We gone. We out." You just what you gonna do? We got like two providers or whatever it is in Georgia. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, you don't need that kind of instability in your life.
I don't. I'm unstable enough. I don't need that in my life. But let's talk about Trumpcare, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about what we would not have known had it not been for the fact that, we really just dodged a bullet as African Americans in this country. As descendants of slaves, we really didn't activate ourselves. We activated ourselves more about R. Kelly than we activated ourselves about Trumpcare, which affects many more of us. Okay? That's a problem. The stuff that we care about and the stuff that we prioritize is a problem. Now put these up. Yeah, we're gonna put these up back to back to back, because I want to talk about I want to talk a little bit about what was in Trumpcare. And the likelihood of something like this further decimating the black community. The first thing we see with this right here is many people's insurance will be less than valuable. So, look at that chart. I want you to look at that chart. And what, in terms of what you have under the Affordable Care Act. And I already say I'm a fan of single payer. I think the Affordable Care Act was a giveaway to insurance companies. It was a subsidy. So I'm not a fan of the Affordable Care Act. But what I want to say is that when you look at the amount of people who are going to be uninsured under Trumpcare, when you look at the value of those insurance, they were going to turn those insurance policies back into garbage policies. That's what they used to be. Like, you pay for insurance, but you don't get a whole lot. Or whatever you get, you got to pay a lot to get it out. Right? So what good is a $4,000-$5,000 deductible? Like, I got that laying around. What good is that? I'm paying for something just so I can say I have insurance. So that's one of the things that changed under Obamacare, where you could, it brought down those premiums because it gave subsidies. Republicans were about to take that away. They were about to take that away. And there's another one I put that on. They're about to take that away. And what is amazing is that we didn't really pay much attention. And if it had not been for those 2 U.S. senators, we'd have just been stuck.
We got a lot of things on our mind.
We do. But the problem is, one of those things is like R. Kelly. And not the context that I explained the other night. The context that I explained the other night about R. Kelly was about poverty and about the situation that creates not only R. Kelly, but the accusers. That's not how y'all were talking about R. Kelly. We get on here and we get fixated. And I want you to stop telling me that we can do more than one thing at a time, because obviously we can't. That's what I see. Look at how many people would pay more for their insurance. Look at that. Look at under the Affordable Care Act versus under the House bill. Look at those numbers. Don't talk to me. I want you to just look at those numbers. That's real money. And that's what, if there's only one thing I can impart to you, I don't want you to think about Capitol Hill as just like ideology. If there's one thing you learn from being there, it's that Capitol Hill is about who's going to get the money. All that other stuff just confuses you. It's just about who is going to get this money. There's a big pot of money over here, and we want to take it away from these people who are getting Obamacare. I don't care if they got cancer or pre-existing illnesses or HIV. I don't care. I want it to go to tax cuts for the wealthy, for business owners, for large business owners. That's what the Republicans were trying to do with Trumpcare. That's a big deal. What we're talking about is a reallocation. It's funny, you know, when anybody talks about redistribution of wealth, oh my God, you're trying to take somebody's money. They already take the money. Every time we file a tax return and you have to pay taxes, somebody took the money. The only question after that point is, where does the money go after it's been taken? Does some of it go back to help me? Or does it go to people who, a lot of them who write off a lot of stuff anyway? Does the money that I pay go to help my community? Does it go to help the people in my community or no? The only thing we're asking for, nobody's asking for a handout. And so never let these people convince you that you're asking for a handout. The only thing you're asking for is for dollars that you pay in taxes, a portion of those, a larger portion of that, to be used not for tax cuts for the wealthy who have gotten away like gangbusters. You're asking for some of that to be used for your community and our community. That's it. And we are owed that. And there's no handout about that. But that's what happened. And listen, there's a great if you check it out, there's a New Yorker podcast which goes on for about 40 minutes, New Yorker politics, about a little bit about the history of the fight for universal health care in this country. And one of the things that they say has been going on since the 1910s, and what they say about it is basically every time it comes up, they say, well, it's foreign. They hire opposition to say this is a foreign thing. It doesn't belong in America because America is an individualistic country and we thrive on our own bootstraps and nobody thrives on anything, even though employer-based healthcare allows them to deduct healthcare, the cost of healthcare on their tax returns. So these employers are deducting, okay, especially these larger ones, deducting the cost of healthcare. Don't that sound like socialism to you? You get the government to pay for the healthcare, you can deduct it, but hold on. As an individual, I'm not allowed to tell the government that it has a responsibility to provide for my healthcare. So this battle has been raging for a long time, and they get away with it by making these arguments that this is not American. You getting treated for whatever disease you got just because you live in the richest country in the world is not American. And stop telling me this is not the richest country in the world. America does what it wants to do. This debt don't matter. They'll wipe it away if they want to and say, who gonna tell me not to? That's just what happens. So, I mean, that's something that I just want to kind of get through. America does what America wants to do, boo. It don't matter. You think debt matters in America? We went to the Iraq war. America did everything. They lost a bunch of money, spent a bunch of money, and everybody, all those corporations that benefited, nobody said, "Well, we have debt. We can't do this." I mean, that's not possible. There's a huge debt. They don't care. You got to stop caring about what America has to pay and what America has to spend. No, talk about what you need. Talk about what you don't have. Talk about your grandmama's diabetes. Talk about that time you went to the emergency room, they have no insurance. That's all you need to care about. Don't need to care about anything else. Care about yourself. The minute we start caring about ourselves, we're in the game. And I almost feel like we have some type of inferiority complex where we don't want to care about our own selves. Well, we don't want to say I have a need and I have a healthcare need. Every other country, every other first world country does it.
I'm sure the people at McDonnell Douglas or Boeing think, well, we can't ask for that jet because it'll make the debt higher.
Put a dent. It'll put a dent.
We can't ask for that jet. No, we don't want that contract.
We're gonna be responsible.
We're gonna be
responsible. Please, and put up clip number 5. What we all have to start understanding is that, in the black community, sometimes what we do is we get caught up on just racial justice or discrimination or racial profiling, and that's important. That is important. But healthcare is important too. But it's part of something larger. Why are black infants dying? And it's not just black mothers need healthcare, but what they found, and that's what this is about, but what they found when they investigated is it's much more than healthcare that black women and mothers-to-be need. What they found is that you can't separate these things. We don't live in an a la carte society where you just say, well, now we got good healthcare. Now we straight. We good. We got good healthcare. No, because you still live in either in a lower middle class area or you live in poverty, right? So you still have all of these other things, moving parts going on around you. What you need is a stable community where you don't have to deal with any of that. And so that's something that we don't talk about. The black women who received parental care, which is necessary because if you don't receive parental care when prenatal care when you're having that baby or when you're pregnant, that's a recipe for disaster. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about health care for all. That's what we're talking about. But it was a curious thing when you read the article. It was a curious thing because what they said is even black women who had prenatal care, a lot of them were losing babies. And what they tied that to was the conditions in which they lived. The conditions in which they lived were not conducive to bringing a child into the world. A healthy child. With the mother has to be taken care of, right? And so that's what we're looking for. But the thing is, we don't get good at anything. Healthcare is just one of the things that we don't get. Like in this life, healthcare is just one thing that black people don't get. That's just one thing, and it's all tied in together. And you can't just have, that's not the way it works. And it's not just, we think about it as just, okay, this is prenatal. This is women having babies. Somebody says it's medical apartheid. It is. This is women having babies. But think about this. It's not just that. The next one, there's a great, absolutely excellent study. And I couldn't find the article that I wanted to use. But there's a great in-depth article with a black researcher about Alzheimer's. Do you know that we're the most likely group, African Americans in this country, to come down with Alzheimer's and dementia? Number one is African Americans in terms of the likelihood to come down with Alzheimer's and dementia. Now, why do you think that is? Well, there was a study. There was another study that came out and said that likelihood is tied to the conditions in which we live. Just like these women with this prenatal care. If we're talking about health care, let's talk about everything that goes into health care. Not just going to the doctor, going to your neighborhood, going to what you have access to, going to the kind of life you live, the kind of stress you endure as a pregnant black woman. You gotta go to all of that. You gotta address all of that. And what we find when we talk about blacks most likely to have it, that the study found blacks have the social conditions that raise the risk. The social conditions that raise the risk of coming down with Alzheimer's or dementia. And we'll do clip. And if you look at that thing says stress, poverty, racism raise risk of Alzheimer's, right? Now, when you look at the ways, what do you say stress? What do you mean stress, Yvette? What are you talking about stress? Well, stress isn't complicated, at least not to me. One of the stressors that they listed in that article was chronic unemployment. But another stressor that they listed was something like losing a sibling. Let's say your sibling gets shot, dead on the street. That's another stressor that has an impact, a lasting impact on the brain. And that's how too many of us live. You don't have to live in Chicago where that number is astronomical. More than 100 wounded, 14 killed in Chicago over 4th of July weekend. While your media is talking about Russia, black people are being slaughtered in the streets. Let's have one weekend where a bunch of white people get killed on the 4th of July.
Hey, look, 3 years ago, you closed 53 schools in Chicago.
53, say it again. How many schools they closed in Chicago?
That was a one shot. 53 schools closed in Chicago. 3 years later, this happened. You tell me that's a lot of laid off teachers.
That's not a connection?
There's a lot of laid off teachers, and there's a lot of school kids who I
ain't got nothing. Go to a magnet school, go to whatever charter school you're trying. And charter school sends people to jail as much as the Chicago PD.
And when they closed those schools, the next year they just couldn't account for a few thousand Negroes.
Yeah, some kids just, I don't know, they got lost.
I don't know. We told them to go to this school, but we lost them.
But they're not here. Yeah, because they're at that school. They at that street school. Yeah. They already, I mean, you took them away from their community. They had people in that school. You don't know if even all the kids got to go to the same school. Exactly. And it's a charter school. They don't have the same teachers. We've talked about the importance of good black teachers. I don't know where these kids are going. But they had teachers. They might have had teachers that were encouraging them, black people who were encouraging them, stay on this path, do this. And Barack Obama's boy, Rahm Emanuel, took all of that away. But is he still building that stadium, Army? Do you know he was building a multi-million-dollar stadium? No money for schools, but he had money for stadiums. Okay? That's what we're dealing with.
That's politics.
That's politics. That's power, and that's poverty. Politics, power, poverty. It all goes together. Politics, power, poverty. You know when you don't have it. And like I said a second ago, politics is about distributing money. That's it. Just simplify it for yourself. Don't go thinking about capitalism, socialism. Simplify it for yourself for a while. Money. Who gets it and who doesn't get it? Who gets it and who gets it taken away? Who gets it and who gets robbed? There are always people, winners and losers. In America, there are winners and losers. I can't do the kumbaya stuff with y'all. I'm just telling y'all, I'm tired of being a loser. That's just where I'm at. Like, how come the budget can't include my stuff? How come the budget can't include stuff for schools and programs for these kids who don't see a way out for themselves? And I can't tell them that I don't see a way out right now for what they're going through there and what they're living through. If you got the newsletter, please check your promotions folder and please check your folder. There was a great article in there about what's going on, about a photographer who was in Chicago throughout all of this. And the photographer talked about, this was just routine to hear parents wailing and crying and people saying, wake up, you gotta wake up. I love you, man, you gotta wake up. And then people wouldn't talk and say, you gotta get the F out of here. I can't talk to you. You gonna try to get me killed. That's the life. And you can't live under that and be a healthy human being. But your media, Joy Reid and all these other people, Angela Rye, all these people that you follow and say, oh girl, she's so on Twitter, all these woke people, they're not focusing on things that are important to us as a community. And it's not just Chicago. I was talking about Wisconsin a while ago, how that community, the black community in that state is mostly made up of prisons and Section 8 housing. Now, what do you think happens? We're talking right now about Medicaid. We're not even talking about HUD yet. We're talking about healthcare, right? We're talking about Trumpcare. But what do you think happened when all that housing for poor people goes away? And these people are also on the streets. Just like the people in Chicago who don't have what these people on the streets. What do you think? And it's already awful there in terms of black life. What do you think happens when more of that gets taken away? You're going to see more carnage among black people. You're going to see more of us fighting each other. That's all you're going to see. And so when I see Trumpcare, that's what I see. And the thing about the Alzheimer's I was talking about, when I talked about Alzheimer's, I was talking about Alzheimer's and how black people are the number one in terms of the group that comes down with it the most. And listen to what it said. It said, stress, this kind of chronic stress that black people deal with because of our social conditions. It said, take years of brain function away. We're robbed years of brain function because of what we go through in this country. You think about that. And you think about, it says it takes away 4 years for blacks and a year and a half for white people. 4 years of brain function because America's racist. And because of what black people go through just to try to be human in this country. That's what we're dealing with. And we got to start paying attention to that. Because Trumpcare could have become a reality. And we would have been screwed. In terms of what needs to happen in the intervention, the article said there needs to be an urgent intervention. An urgent intervention in these poor communities, which are disproportionately black. And Trumpcare also would have rolled back. It would have rolled back Medicaid, but let me tell you what that means. it would have been harshest to the people who are elderly. The people whose premiums would have quadrupled are the people in their elderly people in their 50s and 60s. Okay, for elderly people, it would have quadrupled for people making $26,000. Those people, elderly people making that kind of money. That's a huge deal because that's your grandmama, that's your mama, that's your daddy, that's people in your family who might come down with dementia tomorrow. And Trump is telling you they can't have no money, they can't get no health care. We're gonna make the cost higher. So, you know, and then they would have put caps on Medicaid. That means programs. You don't get no more programs. And we're going to have to close programs. Because it can't be above that much. That's what it means. That's what Mitch McConnell was doing. Because this is all about money. And he wants to put money in the pockets of rich people. He don't care. Like, stop telling me this is what's best for the American people. It's not. It ain't never been that way. He wants to put money in the hands of people who already have money, who have more than enough. And he wants to stuff their pockets because that's who stuffs his pockets. And I'm happy about one thing, and that's that Mitch McConnell has failed at everything he's tried to do. We are like, what are we like, 8 months in, Army? What is it like? I'm so happy that you have failed at everything that you tried to do so far. I hope people keep showing up at town halls and being active in terms of pushing back against what they're trying to do in terms of gutting everything. Like, you think about it. Like, there's not a whole lot right now that in terms of resistance, because Democrats as a whole ain't gonna resist nothing. But what you have is some leftists and some burners out there doing some real stuff. This ain't no doing some real stuff to oppose this stuff. And we gotta hope that it gets bigger. We gotta hope that it gets better. But let me just say this.
Hold on, wait a minute. Someone just gave $300 on Super Chat.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. We can get that.
Hey, I mean, somebody said YouTube gets 60. No, YouTube gets, I think, 30%, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, ain't nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, but thank you.
I mean, but wait a minute. How does somebody that ain't gave nothing talk about, YouTube get 30%? Oh, 6%. You ain't gave $2. You talking about what YouTube do and what YouTube leave. Listen, YouTube has cut our payments into a third of what they used to be. We don't get much money here, so anything is appreciated. And I appreciate whoever gave $300 because YouTube ain't paying no more.
Right.
They used to give. They cut it down to it cut down to half, and then all of a sudden it cut down to a third.
Look, man, our views have been going through. Our views are going through the roof, and we're losing money.
We losing money. I got a 10-year-old car in the shop, and they talk about YouTube taking money. Who gonna pay the mechanic? But anyway,
actually, if you want to help us though, go to breakandbrown.com and sign up for a monthly membership fee.
And you can do $3. You can do $5. You can do whatever you want to do. It ain't gotta be no great amount. And you can also suspend if hard times come. You can suspend your stuff. I understand. We all go through it.
Look, you've been trying to quit smoking anyway.
You've been trying to quit smoking anyway. Now is your time. You give us your cigarette money. Well, they were like one. It's not even a pack of cigarettes if you donate $3.
Quit tithing and give to us, but I went smoking there, so
I'm not gonna mess with the church. Y'all all right? If y'all all right, if you do black politics, let's do some black politics in the church. Can we do some black politics in the church? Like, I mean, can we make that the thing? I'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate if we could do some good tithing in the church. We could do some, I don't want y'all just to get together and eat.
Tie strings to your tithe. All right,
yeah.
I'm giving you my tithe.
Yeah.
Now, what are we going to talk about?
I'll show up. If we're going to talk some black politics and talk what we need to do, I will show up every time. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. So let me just say this.
Yes.
You also have to consider, like I said, winners and losers. Doctors are making big bucks. Somebody said someone wrote he meant $3. Gotcha. Ain't coming back. No, I'm just playing. I would give it back. I'm sorry. I would give it back. I'm just playing with y'all. Why y'all clowning in this chat room? Lemon pepper wings and black politics. I'll show up. I'm trying to decrease my card, but I'll show up. Gotta go cut down on French fry. But listen, doctors are making big bucks too. And they don't want to go to something where the government reimburses them and they can't make big bucks. Like I said, winners and losers. But if you don't have no regular doctor and we don't have steady, consistent health care, we're winners in this. You can't care about everybody else who gonna lose. You can't care about that. And remember that, what was that Michael Moore movie? The dude was making like $200,000. Like, that's you. If you can still make good money even if we're doing a government system. You just can't gouge nobody. You're not gonna be driving no Ferrari or even no $80,000 Mercedes, but you'll be all right. You'll be all right. Winners and losers. So, you know, I'm gonna transition now because I'm running a little low on time, so I gotta get back. I gotta get back to what I'm doing because YouTube chat. What's wrong with YouTube chat? What's wrong with YouTube chat?
It'll be going to some good things.
Oh my God! I gotta.
The spirit moved.
YouTube takes what they take, but listen, since YouTube ain't paying no more, people got to give what they give. I can't tell people to go to the site all the time because sometimes they forget. So if they pay here, they pay here. I just bought a new camera. I just bought a Canon TI5. That was $500. Yes, it's beautiful. It's in the room. It is a beautiful camera, and I got the little flip thing, and it's a beautiful camera. But that was a costly camera. So thank you, whoever donated the money, because that's going towards my camera. That's going to pay for my camera. But let me get to something else. Go to clip number 8, Ivory, because they clowning. Go to clip. Somebody said, give it back at $2.97. I will if he emails me and say I meant to give $3. I will definitely give it back to him. Him or her. I don't know who donated. But
the next one is this public defenders.
Yes.
Or skip that. Okay.
No. Planning evidence. Clip number 8. Yeah. Planning evidence, ladies and gentlemen. I was on Twitter early today, and I saw that one of the stories trending on Twitter was a Baltimore police officer was accused of planting evidence, and apparently they said it was on his body cam, which was interesting because they said that the body cam actually starts like 30 seconds before it looks like it starts. So it starts recording before you think it starts recording. And he was doing some stuff and putting some evidence somewhere that he kind of walked back to later, and it ended up in an arrest. Now the police said that's not the whole video, and there was some other stuff going on, and they may have been reenacting something, or I don't know. I'm just telling you, it looks kind of suspicious. But you got to understand something. And I'm only going to talk about this for a quick second. But you got to understand one thing. Marilyn Mosby, when she came out about the Freddie Gray case, she basically said the whole system is corrupt. She talked about how the whole police force went against her and tried to and worked together to torpedo her case. She talked about that. It was just basic. She said there was collusion, and everybody colluded to make sure that Freddie Gray's family didn't get justice. Mind you, Freddie Gray also, before you say, well, he was crazy. Well, he ate lead paint. Yes. That's what he had to deal with. That's what you have to deal with a lot of these when you're poor. They gave him lead paint. Yeah, it's poison. Yeah. You ate poison. So what I want to say, if you even put up clip number 9, Baltimore also has a history. Baltimore has a history of arresting African Americans there on some BS. Well, what do you mean, Yvette? What do you mean by BS? Let me tell you this. In Baltimore, 63% black. It accounts for 90% of suspects charged with trespassing, failing to obey orders. It accounts for 84% charged with disorderly conduct. Let me tell you, these are BS arrests. What this tells me is that the police in Baltimore routinely harass African Americans. They routinely harass African Americans. And this takes me back to the vagrancy. You remember vagrancy? Vagrancy were those laws used after slavery was technically over. Loitering, not having enough money in your pocket, whatever. All of these things were used. To re-enslave black people. And like I've said this before, but if you haven't watched Slavery by Another Name, please watch it. It's a PBS and it's on YouTube. You don't have to read the book. There's a book as well, but you can see it on YouTube. and watch it with your kid. If you got a kid, somebody called in last night and talked about educating kids. This is something that they can watch, and you should watch it with them and explain it to them afterwards. Explain it to them as you go. Right? I want you to do that, because what they did, they made up all these laws that were just used to re-enslave black people. And that's what it feels like. Now, let me tell you how that ties into wealth. How you going to be stable if you're getting arrested? People, there was a great, it said in that article that's up right now, it said a lot of these charges are dropped. And people say, well, the charges were dropped. What's the big deal? You ever been in jail?
Yeah, no, it's the charges are dropped, but that could have been after 3 or 4 court appearances. And
you could have lost your job. What if you get arrested and the next day you a no call, no show? Y'all know what that's like. Yeah. If you ever had a regular job, you show up, 2 days no call, no show, you fired. You can't go back and say, oh, sorry, I was arrested. Yeah. And the charges were dropped. Don't nobody care. And
then let's talk about the disabling aspect of that. Let's say, like everyone says, black people, you just need to get life insurance. All right, so you just lost your job for a month.
Yep.
Because of some BS charge. You lost your job for a month. You missed one premium. Boom. You lost your life insurance. And now you got to go up and your premium's going to, you're out of the game.
Yeah.
So, that's...
Yeah. And then people say we don't buy life insurance because we're stupid. We don't buy life insurance because we buy Jordans. No, because that means making a payment.
Every month.
And those life insurance over a number of decades, not just years, decades.
They're looking for a reason to get you off too.
Yeah, they're looking for a reason to kick you off.
Miss a payment, please.
Yeah, well, you missed a payment. You can get a new policy and start all over again. And all that money you got is lost. You can get you a new policy. How about you do that? Or they'll say, well, you didn't have as much as you thought you had. I've seen policies switch up. And you don't have the original policy, or maybe it's sold and changed. And they look, these people are designing ways for us to fail. And so you have to have money. You have to have reparations. You have to have something, because these people are designing stuff for us not to be okay. For us to struggle. For us to lose. All this stuff is set up for somebody to get for us to get a little bit of money and pay a little bit of money because we think we got something. And then they say, oop, snatch it away. Your life insurance is canceled. Ooh, your car's been evicted, but I ain't got but like 5 more payments left. I'm sorry. That we're not giving it back. So then if you want to get it back, then you go file bankruptcy to get your car back, and you have bankruptcy on your record for like 7 years or whatever. It is designed that way. And the only way you can come outside of that trap is to have some wealth. And we don't have wealth. We have generational poverty. Some people have generational wealth. We have generational poverty. And that's why I still call for reparations.
It's the same cause, mind you. Like, they have generational wealth because we have generational poverty.
Yep. Don't say that again. Say that again, Iron Man.
They have generational wealth because we have generational poverty.
They have generational wealth because we have generational poverty. They suck us dry with free labor and everything that came after that. From the houses. Do you remember we talked about housing the other day, and we talked about how that's a scam? You remember that? We talked about how during redlining, when black people couldn't get mortgages, you had all these scam artists saying, oh, I'll give you a mortgage. You just pay on time. The one day you're late, they take the house, and they've taken all the money. They put somebody else in there. Generational wealth. They have generational wealth because we have generational poverty. These two things are linked. You can't take them apart. You can't say I wasn't here during slavery. Even the fact that you're a white person, I don't care if you're the poorest of white people, that fact that you're white means that nobody knows that you're poor when you walk around in the world. That's why you can get away with stuff. You can get away with fraud as a white person because don't nobody know you're poor. He looks so decent. He looks right. He looks so nice. Catch Me If You Can. Remember that movie? You couldn't do that as a black person. They stop you all the time. They think we're doing something wrong. We ain't did nothing anyway. So how you going to get away with that kind of theft? You're not. You're just not. You're not going to get away with confusing somebody and making them believe you got money. Where? That's not going to happen for you. It's not going to happen for me. Okay? Even colorism can't make you that white. Can't make you white to the point that where you confusing and you making a bunch of white people think you got a bunch of money. Well, I'm a millionaire you better get your lying black self out of here. But that's the difference. That's why they can just have high school and get a job, and a black college graduate can't. Okay, that's a generational legacy, and that's what we have to deal with day in, day out, day in, day out. And you can't deal with that unless government says, you know what, I'm going to make you whole. That's how that happens. That's the only way you deal with it. Okay, and so you need civilians on these disciplinary boards for these police officers. It don't do no good for the disciplinary board to be made up of only other people who are in the police department. No, you have to have civilians, because that is the community. What good is it if you're not accountable to the community? And that's the problem with Baltimore. Hell, they couldn't. Marilyn Mosby, she couldn't even get them to do anything. They scurried all around her, just every which way she tried to go. It don't matter who you are. We don't care. We the police. Okay? Understand that and understand what that means for our politics. Now, let me hurry this up because I want to get to the phones real quick. And let me say something about the phones before I get to the phones. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get to the phones, I like to get as many people through as I can. Make your comment concise. But also make your comment about what we talked about today. I don't even remember sometimes what happened, and I don't. And there are a lot of people watching who weren't here for what happened last week or whatever. So make your comment about what we're talking about during this Breaking Brown episode. I would appreciate it. Now, we're going on our way to. There was a what's this crazy man name in St. Petersburg? He's running for mayor, St. Pete, Florida. He's running for mayor, and what did he say? He said something very awful. But he said something that I predicted a long time ago, and like nobody believed me. So whatever, you screw it, and screw everybody who didn't believe me, because I told you these crazy racists were gonna come out of the woodwork. Yeah.
Yeah,
I told you.
He got used.
Yeah, I told you. I said, these people, here they come. And I want to thank the person somebody on Facebook tagged me in this today, and I want to thank them. I can't remember the name. But yeah, check out your boy. Yeah. And I want you to go ahead, and I want you to see. He said, and people say, well, he's a kook. But if you go to that page, see that Facebook page? That's a Facebook page right there. If you go to that page, you'll see that he has a lot of supporters. And he basically said, reparations, you got your black people, you got your reparations with Obama. Now, what I didn't say about this man who he's running against, in terms of that race, that mayoral, he's running against a white person who is in favor of reparations for African Americans. I be doggone.
Stronger than that, he's like, look, we're not going to unify our city unless we get reparations. Unity through reparations.
Unity through reparations. That's a white boy I can get with. Yeah. Unity through reparations. That's who's running against this racist. Somebody who says unity through reparations. Hey, if you want to be down with me, then yes. Unity through, that's the way to go. If you want to get to my heart, the cackles of my dark heart, unity through reparations is the way to go.
The cat's name is Jesse Neville.
Go.
Yes, Jesse Neville, unity through reparations. And he's like, look, we're not going to unify our city unless we get black people what they're owed. To which I say, yep.
Yep, you're not gonna get what you and everybody every white politician take note. Now he's running against the Ku Klux. So basically, because the guy also said the guy that the pro-reparations white guy is running against, the pro-reparations white candidate is running against, is this guy who says we got our reparations through Obama and we need to go back to Africa if we don't like it. Now, here's the thing with everybody who says go back to Africa. Most of us ain't never been. You act like that's not a foreign country, foreign continent. But you act like the 54 countries in Africa are not foreign countries to us. Why would I tell you to go back to Europe? Just a big landmass.
Yvette, I'm sure as soon as you got off the plane in Africa, they would welcome you home. Sister, you belong. Welcome home, right?
They were very nice to me. I went to Liberia and they were very nice to me. But
just like a sister, right?
But no, I still got they come from America, so they know that like we have a connection. So they connected me with me on that, but they didn't know. They knew the minute you I don't care, even those of you who are brown skinned or dark skinned, the minute you step off a plane, they know you ain't from here. And it's fine to go and visit just like you go and visit anywhere else. But they know you're not from there. They know you playing games. They know you can't. Come on. Still got like a sore thumb walking around talking crazy. But they were people were very nice and very wonderful. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your connection there. You're gonna tell people to go. Now here's the thing: the same person who would tell you to go back to Africa will turn around next week and say, "Why aren't you more patriotic?" Hold on. I'm supposed to go back to Africa and be patriotic? Are you schizophrenic? What does that mean? Either I'm American or I'm African. Within 54 countries. Nobody ever says go back to Europe. You came here on a boat too, and you came here voluntarily. Nobody ever tells you to go back. So, I mean, I think this is important in terms of, and I told everybody that eventually these people are going to say that Obama was your reparations. And, it's all interesting. The child of a Kenyan and a white woman is somehow the reparations of African Americans, descendants of slaves. I mean, I think so. I think somewhere there's a group of people laughing like crazy at how all this stuff happened, as it was happening and everything, of how we paid for it. Y'all let this man go on the bridge of Selma. I ain't gonna talk about it long, but y'all let this man go on Selma, on that bridge, with the importance that it has to us. It was like, all right, you can't tell me I don't have access. I'm not a part of this bridge. Barack Obama, somebody should have got you off that bridge. That's all I'm saying. I'm not gonna tell you how they should have got you off there, but somebody should have got you off that bridge. Okay, so one of the things, and I remember you talked about this a little bit, about how we have to re-educate these people.
Right, we have to re-educate these people in a lot of ways. For example, look at the politics of St. Petersburg. There's that kid, Jesse Neville, who's running for mayor on the platform of unity through reparations. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Like, he's like, look, we're not unifying in the city until we get right with our black folks, and that's a quarter of the population, 25%. He's right. There's also a woman running for city council on that same platform.
Unity through reparations.
Unity through reparations. So you have two people. This is strategy. Look, if that woman, her name is Akili Kanyon, if that woman would have run alone for a city council seat, she wouldn't have had a chance. Right? But now, since Neville is running for mayor, and Cannon, the city councilwoman, is running. She's only 20 years old. She's a black woman. She's great. But she wouldn't have had a chance because she wouldn't have gotten any press as a city council candidate. But since Neville is running on the same ticket for mayor, it steers press to the issue. So she's looking to get elected. Right? Yep. So even if Neville doesn't win, even if Neville doesn't win, you just got a city councilwoman elected on a reparations platform. Yeah. And now you have a stake.
That's true.
That's politics. That's how you win even when you lose.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's be clear about that. So even if he's just providing cover, providing media, a lot of losing candidates, a lot of candidates don't know how to lose and move the movement forward. So whether Neville wins or lose, this kid moves the movement forward and gets this sister a seat. That's politics that works. And we see this even in the presidential election. Bernie lost, but he had lost.
But he's still in it, though.
Not only that, he built in it. He didn't build the greatest infrastructure, but people are talking about single payer in a way that they didn't.
And full-throatedly. Not just I kind of would like it and appreciate it if you would.
No. Barack Obama got us maybe Bernie got us demanding it. People are talking about colleges in a way that they didn't.
Well, that's what I told people. I told people when people say, well, Yvette, leftists, I hate Bernie. I said, listen. He changed the conversation.
And that's a win because you change the conversation, you change the electorate. Maybe the next kid who goes now has a spot and has a seat. So in St. Petersburg, you're watching pretty interesting electoral strategy to move the issue forward because if this city councilwoman wins because of the mayor guy getting press for running for mayor, then the mayor's loss doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
The mayor's loss doesn't matter because now she has a seat and she has a stake and she has a microphone all the time. She has a microphone all the time. And that's how we need to think about politics. What moves the needle forward? I said before that we got too many people who think they're going to be Jesus when we really need some John the Baptist preparing the way. And this Neville kid might be preparing the way.
John the Baptist preparing the way.
Preparing the way. This Neville kid might be Neville running on reparations, running for mayor, might be preparing the way for Keely Canyon, who's running for city council, and she's the one who might actually deliver. But someone needs to prepare the way. Someone in media needs to be talking about black people and reparations. Someone in media, even if you're going to lose, needs to be talking about that issue. And we saw this even in New York. That guy with the black gloves who said rent is too damn high, right? Like, that was kind of a joke candidate, but people started talking about, like, rent is damn high, and someone needs to be talking about, like, so, like, there are lots of ways.
Like, no rent control.
If you get in, and whether you think you're going to win or whether you're not, you need to be talking about the issue so the next person can do better by us.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. I agree.
Use these elections as a strategy to push our justice claims.
And
media, that's where we win and lose.
And let's end this. Let's end this before we go to the phones with clip number 12, please. Let's end this. Listen, black people, one of the things y'all got to do is be able to stand up to these people in public. And I'm not talking about hitting nobody or chase. I'm talking about having a debate where you just shame them. And don't let anybody tell you slavery was a long time ago. Like, don't let anybody tell you, well, that was a long time ago and you got opportunities. Look at this chart. No. All that time that when you slavery and all this discrimination, all that time that you had all that stuff, they were getting generational wealth. And that don't mean people say, well, all white people aren't wealthy or rich. Listen. We are comparable to the poorest of the poor of white people. Like, our group is comparable to the poorest of white people. That's not how this is supposed to work. That's not how any of this is supposed to work. That's not how any of this works. We should have our own. If America was fair and this was truly a meritocracy, we would have a class structure. Ultra super rich, right? Rich, wealthy, upper middle class, middle class, lower middle class, and poor. We don't have that. We have a few aberrations like Oprah, and that's it. And she don't have the real kind of money. We've talked about this. She don't have no coal. She don't have no oil. She don't have none of that. She just has her personality, which means that even her stuff can't withstand. Even if she had a kid, she don't have no kid. She don't understand legacy. But even if she had a kid, it wouldn't be that. It would not be that because she don't own resources. She only owns a personality that white people like. That's not, and that's the best. That's the best that we got is a person who has a personality, a person who is a mammy to white people. That's the best of us. What does that make you think? What does that make you feel? What does that make you understand about wealth in this country? You got people right now that's the heir to companies that make planes. That's the parts that go on planes. They're the heir to acres and acres and acres and acres that they use to then produce stuff that they sell to restaurants. All right, these are resources. Smiling and doing Weight Watchers commercials is not a resource you can pass down to anybody. Okay, so I mean, I just wanted to think about that. And you about ready, Aaron?
Yeah.
You put the number up whenever you want to. Yeah, let's open up the phones because I want to hear what y'all got to say about all this stuff. It's just so crazy. I just want to hear what y'all got to say. 3 topics. Let's touch on these topics if you call in and not,
Let me
put
the number on.
What'd you say, Aaron?
I'm just gonna put the number on.
Oh, okay. Put the number on. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody said put that chart on. You know what? Tony O'More has a T-shirt with that chart on it. I think. I think he does. If I remember correctly, I'm not sure, but I think he does. I think he does. But I think everybody needs to. It's like if you're watching this, like pause it, copy that, screenshot that, and keep it. I think I'm gonna make it my Twitter picture at Breaking Brown. I think I'm gonna make it my Twitter picture. I sure do wish I could get my other Twitter back, but I guess I'm locked out of that one. So if you're going to follow me on Twitter, follow at Breaking Brown. Don't follow at Yvette DC. I can't get into that one no more. I'm locked out.
It's a long story.
It's a long story behind it, but I ain't going to get it back. So. Somebody said, I'm calling.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm okay. As usual, you guys are doing a great job. I just wanted to throw a monkey wrench in here a little bit.
Okay.
In particular, as you were speaking to Ms. Mosby, the district attorney there in Baltimore. Consider the fact that in that case we had a black prosecutor, we had black police officers who were involved in that, a black victim, of course, but we also had a black judge by the name of Barry Williams. So all the actors, for the most part, were black, yet the outcome was the same. Consider the case of Walter Scott, the black gentleman who was shot several times in the back by the white officer. And in the first mistrial of that case, the jury foreman in that case was a gentleman by the name of Dorsey Montgomery. And Dorsey uttered these words when telling the judge that the jury had reached a mistrial, or the jury had not reached a decision, and the judge ultimately granted a mistrial. But Dorsey said race did not at all play a factor in our deliberations.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Just think about that for a minute. And the problem here is there is this belief that if we have more black people in positions, then the outcome will be different. I'd like to push back against that. I have often argued that no sane black person can be pro-democracy. Democracy only works if your people are in power, and two, if your people are not buying into white supremacy.
Right.
In either case, democracy produces the same result as if white people were at the table.
Yeah.
This goes back to a conversation we had a few weeks ago about about the Booker T. Washington thing. If you invaded the slave plantation, the first people you would have to fight will be the slaves themselves, who will fight to uphold Massa's, plantation. I don't trust any black person, until I see how they behave around white people.
Oh,
I have been around enough black people to know that if they are up under the influence of white supremacy, and a lot of us are living under the influence, we need to give people LUIs, but they're living under the influence of white supremacy, and if they are living up under the white supremacy, they will be Winter in the Planet of the Apes. I don't know if any of you guys seen that movie.
I didn't see it, but I heard about Winter.
Ultimately about the race war between black people, where you have these Uncle Tom apes like Winter and a few others who ultimately do the bidding of white people to enslave their own people. So in every one of these cases where we have a black person being shot unarmed by police officers, we need to pump the brakes on making the assumption that if we had black faces in those cases, they would have ultimately wind up different.
I agree.
The other thing I just want to leave you with is this notion about what's fair. America can't afford fair. Yeah. I want you to think about that. America can't afford fair for black people. A fair would be allowing black people to enslave white people for 500 years. That would be fair. That would be fair. You've gotten the opportunity to enslave us let's make it fair. So they can't afford fair. Can they afford reparations? I mean, I'm involved right now in trying to form a class. I'm an attorney. We're trying to form a class as it relates to the Georgetown case with the slaves that were sold to prop up Georgetown by the Jesuits.
Okay.
And the conversations that we are having with family members in terms of who's for it and who's against it, it touches on all these issues. You have one set of the family that says, their apology is enough.
What?
You say, well, hold up. No, they actually, the institution, the multi-billion-dollar endowment, they're around because they sold your people. They said, well, no, we don't need all that. We don't want a handout. There's a whole group of the family that feels like that. Then there's another part of the family that says, well, an apology would be okay. And then there's another part of the family that says, oh, well, we'll take admission but not tuition. And then there's another part of the family who are in the minority who say, well, maybe we should take tuition. Now, it's very important to note that Georgetown has not offered tuition. They offered an apology and an admission, and the reason why they will never offer tuition, at least in our estimation, is because in the court of law, that would be tantamount to an admission of guilt, and it would open the floodgates in terms of reparations. Now, in each of the reparations cases, and I don't mean to belabor the point, I handle this, but in each of the reparation cases that have tried to go up, the problem has been that the courts have kicked them out because they've said they're too remote. You know, you can't really prove the harm. But in this case, we have specificity of harm, and that Georgetown would not be in existence if it was not for the sale of these slaves. Well, the problem then becomes is, what's the price tag? Yeah. We're actually trying to hire economists as expert witness to try to calculate what the compensatory damages are for the actual sale in today's dollars plus interest, as well as the harm to family members who are direct descendants of that. And I can just tell you, forming this class, it has been, Yvette, I wish I could have you in the room because it is painful. It is painful to know that you have a case that could actually be the first case in American history that could get reparations, but you have a good, that it may not be able to go forward because you have a good contingent of the family that thinks Georgetown, who were founded by Catholic priests, the Jesuits, have made atonement and have apologized, and that's enough. And so when you're dealing with our people, how do you win? How do you get everything that you and Army are talking about when you have to fight up against this? And I'll just let you guys discuss that. But thank you very much.
Oh my God! Thank you so much. That was such a great call. Hey, you let me come up there, I'll convince him to give money is God's work. Ain't no forgiveness. You ain't got no money. Who you talking to? Wow. Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then this is for the whole race. You're going to talk about, you don't understand. This is for everybody, ain't just for you. You don't get to talk about forgiveness. What's wrong with us? You don't get it. Listen, when you get compensated, you get to talk about forgiveness. Most of y'all, I've had the pastors tell me most of y'all are misreading your Bible anyway. They're supposed to make you whole before you start talking about forgiveness. I will love to talk to them people and tell them, listen, what's wrong with you? These people took everything. I want a building. I want a building. Tell them you want a building, or tell them you want to set up a fund where you get part of an endowment in a trust fund for you and your family. And this is good for not only you, it's good for all African Americans. Stop with this bull. Stop with this. You are a problem for your race when you do this stupid stuff. And I understand you don't know, but come on.
Hold on. I can cut this. I can cut it.
Jesus.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut it. We're going to give a special, we're going to give a PSA. Special, this is for, we're going to help Mr. Hamilton out in his, speak directly to the camera. Speak directly to the camera and speak directly to the people. Hello. I'll cut it and make the case.
People.
Hello, people.
Who are suing Georgetown, and you're African American for taking. Georgetown would not be in existence if it were not for the slaves that they sold who were your ancestors. That's the reason you don't have the money that white people have right now. The way you make up for that is money. Georgetown is filthy rich. We're talking millions of dollars, not thousands of dollars.
Billions.
For billions. Forgiveness. I'm talking millions for them specifically.
Oh, okay.
But not for the college. Millions for them in terms of you. Right. You don't make up for generational poverty by accepting an apology. You got to stop that. Like, we got to stop that. That's not what you get. When you get what you're owed, when Georgetown gives you millions, then you can say, when Georgetown gives you millions for your ancestors being sold to prop up that university, then and only then can you say, you know what, Georgetown, now I can forgive you. Now I can move on. Until you have those millions, you can't do that. An apology does not help you. It does not help your kids. It does not help anybody. And what you're trying to do is help the entire African American community. You're not just trying to help yourself. We got to get out of there. It's not about just what you think. If you do this and this moves forward in a way that's beneficial, then that means it opens the door to more lawsuits. And that's what we want. We want litigation. We want to pave the groundwork for litigation. You got to get in the struggle. And you're not in the struggle by telling them an apology matters. No, we're in America, dear. Money matters. In America, in the richest country in the world, during the height of income inequality, Money is the only thing that matters. Don't you come to me talking about no forgiveness of people who got billions. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with us? You have to do your job. Your job is to advocate for money. That's what matters. That's what moves things. You can't get nothing done in this country. You can't have anything in this country without money. Get your money. The window is open. I don't know how it's going to end, but this is about money.
Now, real quickly, he made a very specific question about what if people consider it to be a handout? They don't want any government handout.
You got sold. I mean, your people got sold. Your people, like this is payment from Georgetown for service rendered by your people. And it wasn't voluntary service. They sold your people. The bodies, those people had no lives worth anything because Georgetown sold them. And this, you are going to be compensated or should be compensated for that because you are the heir to that poverty. You are the heir to the poverty that Georgetown and everybody else who was complicit in slavery of African bodies, they were complicit in that and they owe a debt for that. Your job, your one job is to get paid for that. That's it.
Okay, thank you. And I'll cut that up and send it to the caller. And hopefully he can...
Jesus Christ.
He can show that little clip to some of the families he's interviewing, trying to get them to...
I'll come up. I'll come. Wherever you at, I'll come. I'll come.
All right.
Have a long conversation with you talking about that. And I'm going to bring some scripture from pastors who understand.
You're going to get your blood pressure up.
Yes.
Oh,
Hello?
yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello?
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
Speak up for me.
I let her call every time he calls.
Speak up for me a little
I
bit.
let her call every time he calls the liquor boy.
Oh, ain't he fire?
I'm sorry, say it again.
No, I said he's fire every time he calls.
Every time he calls, I fucking love it. I'm sorry, I might cuss a little bit this time because he got me fired up because he's telling nothing but the truth. But this your boy Jamal calling again up in the Maryland area, in the PG area. And look, give me his info. I go down to Georgetown myself too. All right, we can go on this off the ground and show him what's really up. But you spoke about paying taxes. I see the bullshit because I'm in PG. I go out to Columbia for auto mechanic. I'm in school right now. I had to get $32,000 in debt. I'm in school for that. But over there, they have all these small businesses, malls, all the grass cut. Everybody's good. They got all this shit all over there. But over here in PG, we don't get shit. But same fast food restaurant. We don't have no options, no retail, no nothing over here. It's bullshit. And that homeowners association over here, I'm out there digging their ass too. Because they talk about how we need to make sure our trash can is out here, and we got to power wash our back deck and do all this bullshit to the house, make sure the house stays. But we don't even get lights at the basketball court. We got holes in the windows at the front of the damn at the pool house, but we can get a new sign up. I'm paying all this money for this bullshit, but y'all can't even give me the basic needs for what I need. But please let me get his info, because I need him down there at Georgetown too. And I'm in the same situation too, because I found out my grandmother, she was owned by the Bowies. She was owned by Bowie. So I'm finna go collect my check too at Bowie State University. My little sister need to get into school. I need my shit too. Thank y'all. I call again.
Thank you, Carl. I appreciate it. Listen, because these homeowners associations ain't nothing about pretense in black neighborhoods. They have all this stuff where you gotta do this, you gotta do that. No, they ain't got no money to do nothing. Stop trying to mimic something you seen that white people do. The people do in affluent communities. That ain't you. You gotta find a new way. Stop trying to mimic everything you see. That's not how it works. It's not how any of this works. And that's why he's dealing with what he's dealing with. Give me a break, Georgetown. Oh, it got me mad about Georgetown. Go ahead, Aaron. Get the next one.
Go.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Oh, just up here watching your show, trying to figure out what's wrong with these people in Georgetown. What is wrong with these people in Georgia? What is wrong with these folks?
I don't know.
Media. They've been
Like,
programmed.
what are they really thinking about?
Nah, I think what they're thinking about. I think it's a misinterpretation. I think it's a misinterpretation of Christianity. I honestly do. That's what I think. I think it's a pacifist approach, and there's not just one interpretation to Christianity. So I think that's a misinterpretation, and it's ridiculous. But I'm sorry, caller. Go on.
I mean, here's the thing. This is a perfect example of having black skin with a white mind. Perfect example of that. I mean, if you think about it, at the end of the day, here we are talking about you don't want to have a hand out, but we all, as black people, they seem like they're glad to have a hand down. I mean, we're talking about inheritance. Well, first of all, we're talking about the fact that they're worried about being poor. Now, we're underclass. That's the difference. This is a whole race that can benefit from this. This is a foundation that can be laid. This is common sense, even though it's not so common, obviously. Now, here we are arguing amongst ourselves. We have not a pot to piss in. $1,700, as you said, they $5 for black single women, and you're sitting there with billion-dollar economics going on. That means we're good for $200-300 million of this. Right? We're good for $200-300. If we built the whole place, then you got to give us half. And here we are talking about we don't want a handout. Are you kidding me? We're not getting a handout. Forget the African stuff. We are Americans. We are black. We own that. We're taking Joe. We own that. We own that. And the proof is in the pudding. And I can't believe that even with evidence on our side, we're going to sit there and debate on things of should we do this, should we not? What is this going to say about us? Well, what does it say about us that we ain't got no health care? What does it say about us that we're $1,700 if we are middle class? What does it say that we don't really got no middle class? What does it say right now half of us can't even feed our kids? Half of us are living paycheck to paycheck. Half of us got a job, a part-time job, and we're hustling on the side. I mean, at what point do we become to be proud, to be ourselves, and go get what's owed to us? At what point do we say enough is enough? This is about money. This is America. This really is about money. It's about green. That's the race that matters to them. All right, how much they got and how much we plan on taking. So what do we do to really get ourselves around? And I really enjoy you when you speak, the brother in the back, and I definitely agree with the other brother that, we have to judge our brother and sister by how they act around white folks. I mean, that's just a simple truth.
That was the best thing he said. He said, and I think, thank you, Carl, I appreciate that, but he said, I meant to touch on that. He said, I don't trust black people till I see how they react around white people. And that's the truth. That's the God's honest truth. You can act you can act one way around me. Hey, what's up? Yeah, you can act one way around me and be like, hey, sister, what's up? What's going on? You get around white people. Hello, Bob. I just heard you see Bob. Have you met Bob? And then you just kowtow. I don't necessarily agree with reparations either. I think the time is over for that. I think Yvette. Okay. I see you. And I think that's I mean, I never thought about it in those terms, but I think it's true. I mean, I think you can take a lot away from whether or not if you can you say the same thing around me that you say can you say around white people the same thing you say to me in private? If you can't, I don't know what to tell you.
But you did. You really said that a couple of shows back with the Bill Maher thing. Remember?
Yeah, that's true.
You told us that with the Bill Maher thing.
Yeah.
How they act.
Yeah. That's true, bro.
We saw Roland Martin now. Not to bring it up, to be real, we saw what it was, right?
Yeah.
One minute we black, the other minute we danced with Master. We all saw what it was.
1 minute we black.
I mean, I know the brother in the back like, come on now, Mike. Not today. Stick to the show. I will. I'll take it. You know what? I'm not going to say nothing else. But we all saw the dance.
Yeah.
We all saw him hucking and bucking. Now, we all saw it.
That's true. We saw it. We saw it live and in color. Thank you.
Did you say live and in color? You know we know how you say that there. Live and in color. Yeah, you go with the show. I just wanted to touch on that, family.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, but I think thank you, Carl. It was a great call. Listen, I think these people have been masterful at miseducating us.
Yes.
About what is important and what is unimportant to us and our lives and everything else. And I that's just everything from how they use religion, how they use spirituality, how they kind of diminish money as a role in our life. And I mean, these people have been masterful. And I think that's what we're up against. We're up against centuries of propaganda that has been fed to people in our community. And so part of what our chore is, even if you don't, no matter where you are, part of our chore is re-educating the black people around us. You can't do everything with everybody, but you can try to re-educate these people so that they don't get in a room and do that. We get a lot of black jurors that get in rooms and do that.
Yvette, you realize we're dealing with a people who will say, well, I don't really want reparations because I'm worried about the national debt.
Somebody said that one show, like 3 shows ago,
Oh,
2 or 3 shows ago.
Like, what do I care? They print money. Donald Trump, this is the president of the United States saying, we print money.
Yeah, and they do. Remember when the whole housing crisis, they had something called quantitative easing, which basically just backdoored money to banks, okay? In addition to the bailout. I mean, that's what was happening.
We can have a fancy name for our representation.
Yeah, we can call it quantitative Negro debt relief.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, as long as the money.
Make it out the cash.
Here. And somebody said, well, I've seen reparations and I don't know if it never alleviated poverty. Listen, just give me the money right now. We can discuss everything that needs to happen in terms of class later. But right now, just give African Americans the money. Like, that's what we need. That's what we want. Like, I don't know what else you're talking about. I don't understand. So let's go to the next caller.
Hey, Yvette.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, it's your girl Tanya from Dallas again.
Hey, how's everything?
Hey, hot mess trying not to spill my libation over my computer for some of this stuff you talked about today.
Don't spill your libation.
I'm just going to take it bit by bit, too, and be quick.
Okay.
That first part, I can't with that. Everybody in that situation is messed up. The second and third part and fourth part is what's important. Never has there been a time that black politics is relevant, especially on that last part of going back to Africa. I don't see nothing on my birth certificate that said that I have slash Africa where I came from. My birth certificate says Dallas, Texas.
Yep.
Now, if them people need to get over that shock of being told that, I'm sure they was told that privately and stuff in their lifetime, but come on. They need to quit being shocked and put their voting to work. Put their politics to work.
Yeah.
Forget all this other nonsense. You telling a bunch of constituents you trying to get a vote to go back to Africa. Well, guess what? You need to go to that ballot box. You can go wherever he's at and protest whatever he's saying. You need to mobilize yourselves. And then, as a people, we need to take a good look at ourselves. We can all collectively be shot and collectively vote. But once you do that, start doing those steps to fix your own community up so this hot mess don't ever put itself in your face again.
I hear you.
That's what they need to do.
Thank you. I appreciate
I'm going to go back and enjoy my libations. You have a good evening.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your libations. Everybody enjoy their libations. That's what Monday and Wednesday's for. But yeah, I think we have to start mobilizing instead of like, I'm not shocked anymore about what these people say or what they do. I'm not shocked anymore. I mean, but if you see a pro-reparations person running for office against a racist, like, yeah, I think you support that person. And I think you show out, and I think when they get elected, you say, hey, we put you in office and you have to be accountable, and don't you forget that. We will replace you. We'll find somebody. Like, we can't just be waiting on people to replace people. Like, at a certain point, we're going to eventually have to get behind people and create our own candidates. We're going to have to just be like, this is our candidate. We chose him in our civic groups and all that stuff. We chose this person to run for us. And we're not going to go with who the Democratic Party sent here or who the state party sent here. If they're not serving our needs, we'll find our own people. It's just what we're going to do. It's what we got to do. So we go to the next one now. They on? Hello?
Hello?
Hey!
Hey, this is Alan from Seattle, Washington.
Hey!
Hey, so, I just wanted to call and say I appreciate the show.
Thank you.
I watch you as much as I can whenever you pop up in my email. But I wanted to mention kind of my thoughts about the whole reparations thing and kind of my thoughts about it.
Okay.
One, I'm definitely pro-reparations, and I think that maybe a strategy for us is to start, and whenever I have conversations with white people specifically about reparations, when they argue about them, I usually ask them, well, have you ever had an inheritance? And I think maybe an idea for us to start thinking about, as far as reparations, is basically calling it an inheritance. Like, we are owed an inheritance from our ancestors, basically. We've done a lot of work for 500 years or whatever. We're basically asking for the pay that they would have received in the form of an inheritance. And
Yeah.
I think that we need to kind of like focus on, as far as our community is concerned, suing for money that's owed, which is an inheritance. And how can, white America basically complain about that because they've experienced inheritance for hundreds of years as well.
Yep.
So that's just basically my point on it, is basically maybe changing the wording of, reparations to, give us our inheritance that we've earned and that we should receive.
Okay, thank you, Carl. I think that's a good idea. I mean, I like inheritance better than reparations. The only problem I have is that like white people be lying. And if you ask them, sometimes they got reparations, they'll be like, no, I come from a working class house. And they don't tell you about all the in-life, in vivo transfers they got. They don't mention any of that. They just tell you, I'm just like you. And it's just not true. So, but I know that what you're saying is true. And let me just say something else. Whiteness in and of itself is reparation. I mean, is inheritance. Whiteness is inheritance. Because you can move in this world in a way that you can't move. Especially as a brown skinned person. But and in my case, like you can be light skinned and you don't have no like nothing coming down from your white family. So well, you got some white in you, what they at though? That's the question. They don't never come to the family reunion. They probably somewhere with some money with somebody, but it didn't come here. Or you were with the poorest of the poor of white people. You know what I mean? So it's just like, because that's the only thing black people had access to. So I think calling inheritance is good, because what you're basically saying is that our people couldn't pass down inheritance because you robbed them of it by not paying them wages and by not allowing them to access wealth during the time when America was growing, when people were accessing wealth and building businesses and building, and working jobs and all that kind of stuff. And the New Deal and everything that came before and after that, redlining, all the stuff that happened, our people couldn't access any wealth because of what was being done to them systemically in this country. So they didn't have any inheritance to pass down. But because you took it, so you need to give the inheritance back. So I think that's a great way to call it. But I wouldn't even ask people, white people about it, because they a lot of the white people rarely tell the truth about the little stuff the stuff they got from parents and stuff, and the stability in which they don't need like even with remember the mayor candidate you were talking about.
Yeah, Jesse Neville.
No, the other one. No, I'm sorry, the governor of Georgia.
Stacey Abrams.
Yeah,
Stacey Evans.
Stacey Evans,
the black
the white
one. The white one, Stacey Evans.
And she did this commercial about how, she grew up with a single mom, and like, if you don't know enough, you think that her growing up with a single white mom is the same as growing up with a single black mom, but it ain't.
It ain't.
Like, first of all, her mama made a lot of bad choices that she don't really want to deal with. Right. And she married a white man, so she married out of that because he came from a stable family. If you're a black woman, like Irmy wrote, if you check out his article, what was the article at?
The whiteness of Stacey Evans.
The whiteness of Stacey Evans. If you didn't get to check out that article by Irmy, well, he basically talks about how she married out of that. And as you're a black woman, you're going to most likely marry a black man. You're not going to marry out of that by marrying you're not going to have that
in law school. So
in law school.
She married a white lawyer in law school. Like, who was at that wedding? Like,
yeah.
Give me the net worth of the people at that wedding.
Yep.
And I don't think any of them were like us. And there's a lot of things about that. She was born of a single mom, but we don't ever hear about like her having to support her cousins or her uncle being
because it's stable.
The single mom might have just been a black sheep.
Yeah. And a white family who was just doing too much.
Yeah.
And you having babies and stuff, and that's not approved of in this family, all that stuff you do. And you come from a decent, you don't know. And it's just like, but we'll look at that and be like, well, white poverty is just like black poverty. No, that's not the way any of this works. So let's take our last call. Yep. Great.
You're on.
Hello.
Hey, caller.
Wow, how about that? I'm the last caller.
Yes, ma'am.
I ran across your station, your channel. I don't do a lot of YouTube. And I did not like you.
Ooh.
And now I love you.
This was about to be an awkward call.
I did not like you at all. but I let it play, and it was in my subliminal. And all of a sudden, I said, she's got this. And, I watched a lot of stuff, Umar Johnson. I kind of binged on you, and I don't do YouTube so much. But I want to respond a little bit, but I do like you a lot. So, I don't agree with you 100%, but do we ever? We don't have to. We have to participate. We don't have to love one another. We got to participate. Shit.
Well, I can love you if you disagree.
About the caller talking about the inheritance.
Okay.
I worry a little bit about that because we want to inherit something that we lost. We lost a particular cosmological, and I don't want to go all off into fringe, but we lost a particular thing, but we created everything that we think that we lost. So why don't we just create something else?
Not everything.
And I do have a solution for that, and I'm going to write you. I'm not going to get into all of that right here because that's too much stuff. But what it is just create something new. Just ignore what it is. Not ignore it as if you didn't do what you did, but ignore it in the sense of, okay, we got this. This is what we're going to do now. We were in a fight. We lost. It's time to rebuild. And it's not time to take back something because we can't get it back. We can't get that back.
Rebuild with what money, though?
Yeah, that's like we don't have the capital.
I'm going to write you, and you're going to do this, and you're going to tell it because the system that we're fighting is dead. We are trying to get something back, and they're like light years ahead in all sorts of things. I'm not getting into the secret space program. I'm not going to go there. But they are so much farther advanced. So it's time to ignore what you're doing because we can't really figure out what you're doing anyway. For real, we think we know this and we find out a little bit about this and we know a little bit about this, but we really don't know. So it is time, and there is a way to rebuild. And I'm going to write you tonight.
Send it. Editor at breakingbrown.com.
I appreciate that. I'm happy you like me now. I'm happy you like me now because it was like I said, it was about to be an awkward phone call. But I didn't like you at all. I know a lot of people still don't like me. A lot of people still don't like me. I run into them on the street. They still don't like me.
Keep doing what you're doing, girl.
I appreciate you. I think we disagree, but I think something she said was important. Like, we can disagree without hating each other. Like, some people believe that, like, she's a butthole. Listen, we can disagree, and she can disagree with me. I disagree with some of what she said just there. But we can disagree without being nasty, right? That's part of being grown. So, for me, creating something else, like, I think about timing. Timing is important. And the time that these people were getting light years ahead of us and doing stuff, that was during a time when America was on the rise. And so you can't go back and make your ancestor a CEO and we're talking about people who had the intellectual capacity to do stuff, but they were tired. And you can't go back and fix that. I think the only thing you can do is get the money from that because America still costs. And I think we're talking about
America has a 2-drink minimum.
America has a 2-drink minimum.
And we're in the bar without any money.
With no money.
And the bouncer's looking at us.
Yeah, and we're about to get hurt because he picks us up. That's what's going on right now. And I don't know how you maneuver in the world without getting that. Now you could say something if you said, like, make these companies hire black people. Like, make these companies hire black people. That would be different too. Like, make them bring in people who are African American. Make us be priority in hiring. I think we still deserve reparations, but that would be something to provide us with a semblance of security. But you have to find something to secure us, especially considering everything that you did in this country. And this country is not just like, oh, these are just business people. No, the country was in on all of this. Okay, the government was in on all of this. So that's what we're dealing with. So I appreciate everybody for calling in tonight and everybody who watched tonight. I appreciate that. If you want to support the show, go to breakingbrown.com. You can subscribe with a monthly donation. You can have a one-time donation. You can also go to donatebrown.com and donate to the channel. For one time, if you want to do that. You can go to breakingbrown.com too and subscribe to the $2 newsletter where I send out a list of links, which I picked up throughout the week and I think were important in terms of our political education. So you can Well, subscribe to brown.com. You can do that and just subscribe to the general list. And if you haven't subscribe, please. Even if you disagree, we can have a conversation, we can have an argument, we can have a disagreement, but we got to be a collective. We got to be a people, and we got to stop throwing away people just because we disagree with them.
Yeah.
And that was my thing with Umar. That's why I didn't throw away Dr. Umar Johnson, because I may disagree with some of the stuff he says. I definitely do. But I can have that debate without saying he's awful and without throwing him away. And I hope you can do the same with me, too.
Good. Honestly, look, YouTube's been doing something with our money, so we don't have that much coming
doing
in.
something with our money.
So before, please go to breakandbrown.com if you like what we're doing. Sign up for a monthly, $5 a month, $10 a month. That'd be great, and we can grow this into something bigger.
So yeah, so let's do that, and hit the notifications button if you're there, so that when we come on, if you forgot or something, you can know that we're here. So I appreciate everybody calling, and we didn't get to you. I apologize, and we'll try to get to you on Monday. I appreciate it, and thanks to everybody who emails me everything you email me. You're absolutely